I want also to express my love for Harry and Meghan as they continue to build. And I know that my eldest will now demonstrate his tough credentials. But I've always felt that we're over-exploiting and
The palace doors didn't just quietly close on Prince Harry. Oh no, they were slammed shut with such force the echoes are still rattling across the world. Harry strutted in thinking he was making a master chess move, parading his 2 children as bargaining chips. But what he didn't see coming, King Charles was playing a completely different game, one far more ruthless. And what unfolded didn't just expose family tensions, it exposed a truth so dark, so explosive.
People know who watch this channel on a regular basis. I have, as all of us do who watch this channel,
that the monarchy itself is willing to bury it at all costs. This was never about reconciliation. This was about one thing only, legitimacy. Yes, bloodlines, and a secret so earth-shaking it could send the House of Windsor into meltdown. And trust me, palace insiders are in panic mode. Before we unpack this royal bombshell, you need to understand why King Charles would rather risk losing his grandchildren forever than allow them anywhere near Buckingham Palace.
Inheritance and the duties and heavy responsibilities.
Stick with me, because by the time we're done, you'll see why his no wasn't cold, it was survival. That's right, this rejection wasn't cruel, it was absolutely necessary for the crown's survival. Let's start with Harry's first jaw-dropping demand, and buckle up, because it only spirals from here. Imagine this. Harry had the audacity to demand full, taxpayer-funded royal protection for himself and his children. Yes.
Harry's heartbreaking final wish has left Prince William in tears, shocking the world and
the same Harry who dragged the Home Office through the courts when they said no, only to lose that case in humiliating fashion. Now he wanted King Charles to personally pick up the tab. And we're not talking pennies here. Oh no, this bill could easily spiral into the millions. Picture it, round-the-clock armed guards, bulletproof cars, fortified residences, a security detail fit for working royals. But for a man who walked away from royal duty and set up camp in California, conservative estimates, over £2 million a year. For someone who publicly proclaimed he wanted no ties to the system, the arrogance is blinding. Now here's the kicker. Harry was actually shocked when his outrageous demands were met with stone-cold rejection. Shocked.
Reporting over the weekend claims that Prince Harry will be banned from Prince William's eventual...
Palace insiders say he acted downright offended when Charles turned him down. Think about it. This is the same man who trashed his family on global TV, spilled every secret in books and documentaries, and fled the UK. And yet somehow he thought he could waltz back, snap his fingers, and be showered with the very privileges he spat on. And if you thought the timing was a coincidence...
Good morning, guys. This is Sinead with free tours by foot. I'm outside Clarence House with all my customers.
Think again. Harry knew full well that Charles is battling cancer. He knew his father is in a vulnerable position. And what does he do? He wields that vulnerability like a weapon, saying in essence, "Give me what I want, or you'll never see your grandchildren again." Emotional blackmail, dressed up as security concerns. But here's the truth Harry doesn't advertise. Private security in Britain isn't even allowed to carry firearms. His demands weren't really about safety. They were about status.
Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn, because now, after months of cold stares and...
This wasn't just about keeping his family safe. It was about reclaiming the prestige of an active royal without lifting a finger to fulfill the duties. He wanted the crown's perks without the crown's responsibilities. He wanted the British taxpayer to fund his luxury, all while sunning himself in California mansions and signing Netflix deals. And most telling of all, he needed those children, Archie and Lilibet, to be officially recognized on British soil. Because without that recognition, his entire legal chessboard collapses. Palace sources say Charles saw straight through it. He knew Harry's so-called security demands weren't about safety, but about leverage. If Charles had agreed, it would have set a precedent that not only weakened the monarchy, but legitimized every one of Harry's public betrayals.
3 kings named Charles, but how are they all related? So our first child...
Worse, it would have handed Harry exactly what he craved, evidence. Evidence that his children are official heirs entitled to full-blown royal recognition and protection. And without that, Harry's legal strategy crumbles like a sandcastle at high tide. And here's the twist nobody saw coming. Harry wasn't just asking for protection. He was trying to craft an entire legal strategy around those kids. His team's been laying the groundwork for months. The heart of it? Proving Archie and Lilibet deserve official UK protection. Without that recognition, without paperwork tying them to the palace, his whole legal house of cards collapses. That's why this wasn't just about family visits. It was about stockpiling ammunition for future court battles. And it gets darker. Legal insiders whisper that Harry's fight isn't only about recognition, it's about building leverage for a custody war that might be brewing behind closed doors. Think about it. If cracks are showing in Harry and Meghan's marriage, then Harry needs irrefutable proof that his kids have deep documented ties to Britain. Emotional ties, physical ties, royal ties. Why? Because no California judge could brush that aside in a custody case. And what better proof than images of Archie and Lilibet walking into Buckingham Palace like rightful heirs? Those photographs, Archie sitting in palace gardens, Lilibet being doted on by King Charles, they'd be worth gold in any custody battle. Harry could stand before a judge and say, "My children aren't just American, they're British royals, and here's the proof." Chilling, isn't it? But Charles, ever the strategist, cut off the oxygen supply. He knew this wasn't about visits. It was about Harry preparing legal weaponry for years to come. And he wasn't about to let himself be used as a pawn in Harry's courtroom games. And if you think this is about family bonding, you're wrong. It's about fortifying Harry's custody hand. The palace rejection? It was Charles pulling the plug before Harry could turn his grandchildren into leverage against the very institution Charles has sworn to protect. And this brings us to the elephant in the room, Meghan Markle's glaring absence. Oh yes, her absence spoke louder than any words ever could. Notice how Meghan has skipped every single UK trip lately? Not there for the lawsuits, not there for the charity events, not even there for this palace showdown. She stayed put in California, building her brand while Harry absorbed the blows. That's not coincidence, that's strategy. Insiders say Meghan didn't just sit this one out, she actively discouraged it. She allegedly warned Harry, "It's the wrong time. Charles won't give you what you want," and when Harry marched in anyway and fell flat on his face, Meghan got to play the "I told you so" card, the ultimate power move in any marriage. And while Harry was burning bridges, Meghan was building her empire, business ventures, Hollywood networking, projects to prove she doesn't need the monarchy. The contrast couldn't be sharper. Harry comes across as desperate, needy, begging for validation from a family that doesn't want him. Meghan, on the other hand, looks strong, independent, and untouchable. The woman who escaped the toxic system. That optics game? Devastating for Harry. Every day he begs for acceptance is another day Meghan shines by comparison. Royal insiders whisper that Meghan's absence may even be her insurance policy. If this marriage cracks further, she'll have proof she wasn't the one clinging to outdated traditions. She'll be the one who built a new life while Harry obsessed over a family that repeatedly slammed the door in his face. And the palace? They weren't fooled. They knew Meghan's silence wasn't about distance. It was about narrative control. She left Harry to take all the hits, so she could walk away with clean hands if everything blows up. But let's get back to Charles, because his refusal wasn't just about saying no to Harry's outrageous demands. It was about protecting the monarchy itself. Harry wanted photos, moments, public proof. But Charles knew those images would haunt the crown forever. He understood that once those children were welcomed, the monarchy could never take it back. He knew those photographs could be weaponized, turned into exhibits in custody trials, Netflix documentaries, and memoirs. And that was a risk he was never going to take. And here's the irony. Harry was shocked. He thought he'd outmaneuvered everyone. He believed no one would see through his game of using his own children as pawns. But Charles did. And when Charles slammed that palace door, it didn't just shut on Harry's demands, it shattered Harry's entire master plan. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Meghan Markle, where was she during Harry's humiliating showdown? Nowhere. Radio silence. Not a statement, not a tweet, not even a carefully worded press release. Absolutely nothing. And if you think that was just chance, think again. Meghan is a master of narrative control. She knows when to step forward into the spotlight and when to vanish into the shadows. And when Harry suffered his biggest royal rejection in years, she was 3,000 miles away, far from the fallout, letting Harry carry the humiliation alone. Insiders say Meghan even told him this was a mistake, that Charles would never agree. She warned him. And when he walked into the fire anyway, she got to sit back and play the role of the wise, detached partner. See, I told you so. And let's be honest, in any relationship, I told you so is a powerful weapon. It plants doubt, it creates distance, and it cements who's in control. Meghan hasn't set foot in Britain since 2022. That's over 2 years of complete avoidance. No ceremonies, no olive branches, no family visits. Her message? She's done with the royals, done with Britain, done with playing by palace rules. Meanwhile, Harry, he's desperately banging on doors that will never open. It makes him look weak, needy, and clinging to a royal validation he'll never get back. Meghan, in contrast, comes across as strong, independent, and forward-thinking. And royal commentators are whispering Meghan's distance is no accident. It's strategy. If their marriage ever collapses, she'll be positioned as the one who moved forward while Harry remained chained to the past. Think about the optics. Harry, the once golden prince, now reduced to begging for scraps of validation. Meghan, thriving in California, far from the royal mess. It makes him look weak, needy, and out of touch, while she looks strong, modern, and above the drama. And here's the cruel irony. Harry's obsession with his past is becoming Meghan's greatest weapon. If cracks in their marriage deepen, she's already positioned as the one who moved forward, while Harry stayed stuck in the rubble of Windsor rejection. And let's not forget why Charles slammed the gates shut so firmly. This wasn't just about a disappointed father rejecting his wayward son. It was a calculated strategy. Charles knew Harry wasn't asking for reconciliation. He was demanding legitimacy. He wanted photo ops of Archie and Lilibet in palace gardens, sitting on royal furniture, being treated like true heirs. Charles understood those images would be weaponized forever. And here's the darkest part. Whispers that have circled for years, questions about the legitimacy of Archie and Lilibet, surrogate rumors, missing paperwork, the absence of traditional royal ceremonies, every detail wrapped in secrecy or hidden behind redactions. By letting those children into Buckingham Palace, Charles would have validated questions the crown has spent years trying to bury. And the monarchy? It simply couldn't risk that. Royal succession is built on one thing: unquestioned lineage. Any cracks, any doubts, any suspicions, and the whole structure starts to collapse. Charles knew this. William knew this. The palace knew this. And that's why the answer was not just no, it was never. And the insult couldn't have come at a worse time. Charles is battling cancer. The monarchy is vulnerable, and Harry chose this moment to storm in with ultimatums. His timing made it obvious. This wasn't about love, it was about leverage. Give me what I want, or you'll never see your grandchildren again. Emotional pressure, pure and simple, and Charles's response, immediate, decisive, a cold and brutal number.